Now let's see a REST API tutorial. So this is to help you understand what kind of application we can build using Docker and how we can host it. This is purely for application development, and after developing the application as an API, here we are going to see REST API. After that, these things that we have learned before will come in handy. Now let's see a beginner-friendly tutorial on REST API. So what is the meaning of REST and what or where we will use this? Basically, RESTful web services use REST architecture. What is this REST? This is nothing but what's the abbreviation here is. It is representational state transfer, and it uses HTTP protocol. That's the web protocol for implementation. Why REST is preferred is because it is lightweight, it provides maintainability, scalability, supports communication among multiple applications that are developed using different programming languages. They provide a means of accessing resources present at the server required for the client using the web browser by request header, request body, response body, stated codes, etc. So basically, its main purpose is to support communication across multiple applications that is developed using different programming languages. Now let's see what is messaging. In a client machine, the client will send HTTP request to the server, and the server will send a HTTP response to the client. So this technique of sending a message from the REST client to the REST server in form of HTTP request, and the server responding back with response as HTTP response. This overall technique is called messaging. Messages contains data, metadata, and other kinds of information that we need. What are all the different HTTP methods? So this we call it as CURT. So here, this is we can consider it as a mnemonic to remember the methods that we frequently use in HTTP. It is called CURT. The abbreviation is create, read, update, and delete. So these are the abbreviation for CURT, and how it is used in the HTTP is create is used as post request. Read is used to get, like it is the get request, and update is put request, and delete is delete request. So these four are the HTTP methods. We will understand each of the method in detail in the following slides. Here, HTTP methods are also known as HTTP verbs. They form major portion of uniform interface restriction followed by the rest that specifies what action has to be followed to get the requested resource. So, to give you some example of the HTTP methods, as we have seen the code, we will understand each of the HTTP method. So, post. Post is a method that is used for creating the resources at the server side. Next is incurred is read. So for read, what we will use get method. So get is used for fetching details from the server. So basically, it is like a read only operation. Next is put. Sorry, update incurred. So put is the method that we use here. It is used for updating the old existing resource on the server or to replace the resource. Next is the delete. So incurred it's same delete, and in HTTP it is the delete method. As the name says, it is used to delete the resource on the server. Apart from that, we have few other commonly used HTTP methods. So one is patch. This is used for modifying the resource on the server. Another is options. So this fetches the list of supported options of requests present on the server. So the post, get, put, delete corresponds to create, delete, update operations, which are commonly called CURD operations. Next, let's dive into REST API testing. So basically, like when a client is sending the request and the server is sending the response using HTTP protocol, what kinds of status codes will be returned? So for a successful case, we will get OK. So in that case, the status code will be 200. For get or put methods, if we are getting the status code as 201, it means created. So, like the resource is created or the old or existing resource has been updated. Next is 30. So, it indicates found. So, when we are sending a post request, so in that case, we want a new resource to be created in the server side. So at that time, if it is successful, you will get 302 found as status code in the HTTP response. Next, if there are any issues when processing the request, the server returns the status code in a way like 400 bad request. Next is 404 not found. Next is 500 internal server error. So all these we will see in detail now. To understand the representation of the status codes, so we will use this standard format. So anything in 100 series 1x6 represents informational responses. Anything in 200 series 2x6 represents successful responses. Anything in 300 series represents server redirects. Anything in 400 series 4x66 represents client errors. Anything in 500 series 5x6 represents server errors. So we will see each of them in detail. So 200 status code is for success. As we have seen above, it is a okay or success. Like we have successfully established a connection with the server. Next, we have 201 that is created. So this status code is returned only for the HTTP methods, post or put methods. Next is 304. So this is nothing but for not modified. So when we are using conditional GET request to reduce the bandwidth use of network, here the body of the response sent from the server will be empty. So in that case, it means like the resource is not modified. So it will be indicated using status code 304. Next is 400 bad requests. This can be due to validation errors or missing input data. Next is 401 unauthorized. This is returned when there is no valid authentication credentials sent along with the request. Next is 403 forbidden, sent when the user does not have access to the resource, like it is forbidden. The user does not have access to the resource that is present in the server. Next is 404. This we would have faced multiple times. Error 404 page not found. In our real life, we would have faced it multiple times. So 404 not found means resource is not at all available. Next is 500 internal server error. So as we have seen in the above slide, 500 series is with respect to server side errors. So client was able to pass the request, just the server is not able to respond back. So in that case, 500 indicates internal server error, like server threw some exceptions while running the method that we want to process. Finally, is the 502 bad gateway. Server was not able to get the response from another upstream server. Now let's understand statelessness in the REST architecture. So basically, a REST full web services is preferred because of the statelessness. So the REST architecture is designed in such a way that the client state is not maintained on the server. So this is called as statelessness. The context is provided by the client to the server, using which the server processes the client request. The session on the server is identified by the session identifier that is sent by the client. Each request has all the information to process the request. So that's why like the server does not maintain the client side or the client state. Next, let's understand URI, Uniform Resource Identifier. In a common world, how we will refer this as URL or the website. So, what is this URI or URL that we commonly use? URI is Uniform Resource Identifier, which is used for identifying the resource in the REST architecture. URI is of the format protocol, then colon slash slash service name slash resource type slash resource ID. There are two common types of URI. So one is our URL and next is URN. So if you see URN, URN is Uniform Resource Name. It identifies a resource by means of name that is both unique and persistent. URN doesn't always specify where to locate the resource on the internet. They are used as templates that are used by other parsers to identify the resource. They follow the same URN scheme and usually prefixed with URL. So to see an example, here we can see the URL is www.example.org slash index.html. So this will be our URL. As the name says, it is the resource name. Next is the URL, Uniform Resource Locator. So this is what we commonly use. So here, this Uniform Resource Locator is nothing but it has information regarding fetching a resource from its location. We will see the example again. But so for a URL, if you see, it commonly starts with the protocol like HTTP, HTTPS, or FTP, or even file. And they have the information of the network host name, the path, document, like the resource that we want to fetch, and any query parameters that we want. Back to the example, if you see, the whole is the URL here. So here, it starts with the protocol HTTP, then www.example.org slash index.html. So inside this HTML page, which resource that we want is the date. So that we will mention for fetching the date, we will mention in the URL. This whole is URI. And as mentioned, the segments, the types, the URL and URN are given here.